Welcome back to the competitive Sports Series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Who comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
So Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember for Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season. Well, good evening and a warm welcome to everybody from home. I've noticed that for some reason I am a lot louder on Discord all of a sudden. Yeah, I've fixed all of the issues. I'm now absolutely blasting everybody on the stream, so let me just turn myself down a couple seconds. But good evening. It is the halfway point in the season. It is round 6. It's an exciting one. It's Austria. It's going to be a good one for us, firstly, though. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I've had a week off, so I'm all re-energized and good to go again.
Yeah, exactly. Always good to have some time off and away. And, well, we've had a weekend to reflect upon that amazing mystery GP we had last time out, which was Japan. What an iconic and beautiful circuit that we went to there for round number 5. And, well, as the standings quite rightly say, there is one team out in front quite convincingly, and that team is FVR. 40 points in it, but still quite comfortable out in front.
Yeah, they are kind of the team that have it all got together, don't they? They've got the strategy on order. They've got fast drivers every single race. So right now, they are, well, I wouldn't say fully dominating, but it's getting close to being quite dominant throughout the season so far. The only team that can somewhat keep up is TF10, but they were hit by a post-race penalty from last week in Japan. So now they are a little bit more points behind than that they originally were. But there's still hope for them. It's only the halfway point, 41 points in it, actually, between the top 2 teams. And then the rest follows on a big distance behind, 72 points in between second and third for TTM. closely followed by NLR, TES, and AMR, and even ET8 is not that far off that second position either.
Yeah, no, it's looking really, really good. So, fingers crossed, we are in for a real good one tonight. Austria, I think, is a really good circuit. Everybody seems to really get the elbows out at a track like Austria. It's very wide, very fast corners, lots of overtaking opportunities as well.
Yeah, and it so happens that I've already commentated on Austria this week, so I'm very much prepared. This track always provides excellent racing because it's so short. There's so few corners, and there's 3 DRS zones, all of them right after one another, so that is going to be very interesting indeed. We're going to see very short lap times, we're going to see very small gaps, and a lot of overtaking if the last race I've seen is something to go by. So yeah, it is going to be very promising indeed.
Indeed, yes. I think we are really in for a good race tonight. I'm looking super forward to it. If you want to get your early predictions in chat for who you think may take pole position, we aren't that far from qualifying getting underway. We're just waiting for a few drivers to get into the lobby. We're sitting on about 15 in the lobby at the moment. Make that 16 as somebody just joined us. So yeah, we are in, I think, for a really good one. As you say, Frost, such a good track, such a fast track. It really is pretty much everything a man could dream of. I mean, it's probably my favourite circuit on the entire calendar, and that's coming from a Brit, right? So if we talk about the British bias, you know, that's out the window when it comes to a track as beautiful as this.
Well, I'm Dutch, so I should probably say the Zandvoort is my favourite circuit, but it actually isn't. It's also not Austria, it has to be Spa for me.
Oh, yeah, no, Spa is a brilliant circuit. And I think, like, it's those sort of circuits, like Spa, Austria, those sort of circuits that are true racers circuits that I think we really seem to get the best racing out of. I think that's why Austria, for me, is such a good circuit. It's not a street circuit, but it's just one of those circuits where you get so much going on, like so many iconic races over the years. And hopefully, we're going to have an iconic race of our own tonight.
I think qualifying is going to be iconic on its own as well, because, you know, as the lap times are this short, and there's only that few corners, only 10 of them to be precise, it means that should you make a little mistake, about half a tenth, it could cost you like 10 or maybe even 15 positions, depending on how close the grid is going to be tonight. So yeah, every single millisecond is going to count, especially to those teams that are close together in the standings and fighting hard for a position and points tonight. It's going to be very important to stay sharp, stay vigilant, and stay away from those nasty mistakes.
Indeed, yeah. Austria as well, as you kind of alluded to a little bit there. It's one of those circuits where mistakes can be very costly because your mistakes will get you time penalties very easily. 3 strikes and you're out. You get yourself a 3-second time penalty. And around this sort of circuit, picking up time penalties is very, very easy because of how wide it is. So you push the limits absolutely as much as you can. But as a result, it does mean that you've got an increased chance of running that little bit too wide, picking up a time penalty, which I think probably during qualifying we are going to see a lot of invalidations. So our telemetry is going to be working absolute overtime.
Yeah, I've got it all ready to go. The telemetry is ready and set up. For the drivers, we have for TTM, René Klein and Lighty. For ET8, you've got Matex. And scrolling all the way down, we've got Aryan Sanga, new name here in CSS. Then for NLR, Oliver Nutt and Ivan Santamaria. TES have got Carlos Galindo alongside Damien Carril. ABS have got Marvin Golm, as well as Tamas Kokani. We've got AMR with Sam Arling and Aaron Raminguez, familiar name for them, of course. TF10 have got Cloud and Lucas Beisner. VRM have got Tristan Derbecourt and Theo Bulnes. We've got EVE with Trisk and Minjake. And then for FVR, Nick Arrow. And where's the other driver? Scrolling back up. The other driver, I believe, is Balin Telekis. Yes, it is. And I think I have covered all 10 teams already, unless I've forgotten one in all the haste we had with the countdown on the lobby.
Indeed, yes. Qualifying about to get underway now. As everybody just readies up into that lobby. Who will be first out on track, and why is it probably going to be... Hang on. am I right in saying that our normal lobby host isn't here tonight?
No.
Jeremy Gallinier is not here.
No, he's missing.
Wow. I mean, I was going to say that he would be out on track first, because he normally is. He's normally one of, if not the first driver out on track. But he can't be the first on track if he's not even here. So it's anyone's guess as to who's first on track. But let's take you track side, because maybe we are the first on track, because it is the pit lane of the lovely Austrian GP.
It is, yeah. Oliver Knott is tonight's host. He was not too pleased with it, apparently. But he might be the first one since he's the host. So let's find out if he's going to hold up that tradition of if you're the host, you're going to be the first one out. But I can see some movement happening already. Some pit crew members standing back to let some cars through. And it looks like we're going to have a McLaren out first. So the tradition appears then not to be the host to be first. It appears to be VRM first. And this time it's Jeremy Gallinier's trusted teammate of Tristan Derbeck-Court. With him tonight, of course, Theo Bulnes in the other McLaren. Let's see if they can finally make that comeback they've been aching for so hard this season. They're still pretty much at the bottom of the table at the moment. They had a brilliant qualifying, but again a nightmare race last week in Japan as well, as they were involved in several incidents to both of them, unfortunately. So maybe that's why they're so eager in qualifying. Just want to get going and hope for the best again in round 6.
Yeah, round 6, that halfway point in the season, a decisive point for many teams. This will be the point at which they really begin to dive in deep and reflect upon everything and kind of get an idea as to how the rest of their season may pan out. But get your prediction for who will take pole tonight. Will it be FVR, TF10 or TTM?
Yes.
Absolute word soup from me. But the first lap underway, it's Tristan Derbeck-Court into turn number 1. First DRS zone of 3, taking it nicely into turn number 1, braking just after the 100-meter board there. Now through turns 1 and heading up the hill. This is turn 2. It's barely a turn at all. It's a kink in the corner. And turn 3 right at the top, braking just before that 50-meter board into turn 3 very nicely. Then along this second DRS straight of the lap, and then into this tricky braking zone down here. Very easy to make a mistake into this corner here. Lockups are plenty. Now into the end of that sector 2, and it's this sweeping left-hander. Very easy to run wide, go onto the gravel, but nicely held for Tristan Derbeck-Court here as we head round towards that third and final sector of the lap again through there. Easy to invalidate, turns 9 and 10 to come, and these are again critical corners in the lap. Easy to invalidate, very, very quick, and taken very nicely by the VRM. Up to the line for him, first lap of the session, it's a 1:03.322. Not a bad lap time at all.
And there goes Lucas Bison, though, 3 seconds faster, not surprising around this track. 1:03.3 as well. Same goes for Tomasz Kokkeny, as Nick Arrow now goes fastest overall. And not surprisingly there for FVR with a 1:03.1. 2 milliseconds behind, has been slotted behind with Oliver Knott for NLR, so not bad at all. Aaron Mingus also at the front again in third place for the moment, 1:03.199. Marvin Golm has out-qualified Lucas Beisner as well. There comes Balin Telekis with a 1:03.133. So 4 milliseconds from first to third, believe it or not. It's incredibly tight at the top right there. Several other drivers still on their way. Let's see if we can find somebody that is about to cross the line. Arjan Sanga for ET8 still on his way. His teammate Matex has only done a 1:14.4, so it's very likely that he made a mistake somewhere, although small. It has cost him a lot. There comes Arjan across the line, P11 for him right there. Then let's see who's next to cross the line then. See one of the ABS drivers coming into the pit lane. Yeah, there is Minjake, I believe. No, it's not Minjake, actually. It's Trisk coming around the final corner and across the line. Wow, for EVE, absolutely flying this man. And they needed that. They're still bottom of the table. And suddenly they've got a driver that can potentially intermingle themselves with the top 5. And you know what? He just did, as he goes 4th fastest.
Yeah, we got a mistake there from Rene Klein there for TTM. Went around to finish a lap time, spun at the final bend of the lap. So not a great lap time for him. I think Theo is on an in-lap, as is pretty much the entire rest of the field. Apologies for the little tab menu coming up there. I just needed to move a telemetry thing about. But first run's done. As you say, that top three. 4 thousandths per second separating three drivers. That's not bad going for the start of qualifying at all.
You love to see it, don't you? Also, somebody in the chat points out that's Maximilian Luckert, neither TES car in the top 10 at the moment. Carlos Galindo 14th, but Debian Carril has not set a lap time yet. Same goes for TTM with Rene Klein making a mistake. Lighty having invalidated, I think, on his first attempt, as I saw him driving around. But we do know that Lighty can make a very strong qualifying position happen. So there is still hope there for the Ferrari team. And I think Rene Klein, after his fix of the mistake he's made from the final corner, he's going to be perfectly fine. Drivers coming in at the moment. Several others are coming back out, including our provisional pole sitter, Nick Arrow. We haven't seen him for a while, actually. So it's good to see him back in that coveted Mercedes seat for the FVR team. And he's leading the way from his teammate of the night, Balin Telekis, who seems to have found quite a lot of pace over the last few months. Now finds himself in third. But I have to say, Marvin Golm for ABS also doing a swell job for his team, sitting in P6 at the moment. Tomasz Kokeny not that far behind, about 1.5 tenths back, although on this track, that of course is quite a lot.
Indeed, yeah, it is quite a lot around this sort of circuit. But Tristan, back on track and beginning his second flying lap as we ride on board with the VRM. 8th at the moment, not bad at all, given he was the first man to set a lap time in this session. And now, on that second run, about 3/4 of a tenth down in that first sector. You can lose quite a bit of time in that first sector, but this second and third sector, that's really where you can make up a lot of time around this lap here. So let's see what he can do now as we head through that tricky sector 2, those tricky bends. If you get them just that little bit more perfect, you'll eke the time out at every little moment. As now we head down the hill once more. Tristan de Herbecourt looking to try and set an improvement. He's improved in sector 2, but he's not improving overall versus his best lap time. But he's still got a couple of corners to try and change that now, as we got a few drivers behind as well, wanting to try and stamp their mark in this qualifying session. But Tristan, can he improve up to the line? He doesn't. What can anybody else do? Well, next across the line, Damien Carrel, who goes 9th.
Not bad. For now, it's certainly a lot better than at the back of the grid. His teammate hasn't validated, so he's going to have to try again. Theo Modeste just started his lap. That same goes for the Aston Martin of Arjen Senga. Next across the line, then one of the Red Bull cars. I believe that was actually Lucas Bison starting a lap. And then one of the Mercedes, that is Nick Arrow, who has also invalidated. So trouble there all round for many drivers, but Tomasz Kokeny has found an improvement. He manages to squeeze himself in between Oliver Knott and Balin Telekis as Cloud sets a new benchmark for TF10, and they need that badly. He goes fastest of the lot, but only by 100th of a second. Then Nick Arrow still sitting in second, Oliver Knott and Tomasz Kokeny with the exact same time in third and fourth. And there comes Aaron Dominguez going even faster than that as a 1 minute 3.0. But I gotta have to find Lighty, who has invalidated at the moment again, so it's not looking brilliant for him yet. Balin Telekis is going even faster than Aaron Dominguez, so those improvements are certainly coming, and we're getting ever closer to the 1 minute 2 limit with a 1 minute 3.040. That is about 3/100ths of a second quicker than Aaron Dominguez. But you have to say the top 6 now within a tenth of one another is very tight.
Yeah, it's looking really spicy at that top of the field. And Balin Teleki's brilliant lap time from him in this qualifying session. Nick Arrow, though, retakes that crown. So currently in FVR 1-2. And you've got to say that you'd pick them quite comfortably any day of the week to be the team at the top. But certainly other teams getting into the mix as one of the AMRs of Sam Arling there makes a mistake around the final bend and loses a bit of his end plate. Was on an improvement lap as well, so that's not what you want if you're on a decent lap time. A few drivers I've noticed making a mistake there. So seemingly not just a skill issue, does appear to be a bit of a characteristic with probably the setup, I would have thought, that's causing some of these drivers to struggle a little bit more, but we still have a few more drivers to come across the line.
Yeah, don't forget that they're all on the limit, of course, because this track is so small, so short. Every mistake and every 100th of a second is going to count. As Theo Bolnes goes into PAT with a moment at 3.7, I believe. Trisk is on his way as well. 23 milliseconds faster through Sector 2. He can find a little bit of extra time through the final sector right now. That will bring him all the way up to P5. EVE have brought somebody special to bring them to the top of the table, potentially. There he goes. No! He's lost time in the final sector, and quite a lot, actually. He's lost about a 1/10 of a second somewhere. Not entirely sure why, but that is not ideal as he stays in 7th. Still brilliant for EVE as a team, but definitely an improvement can be found for the Dutchman in the Alpine tonight. Let's see, somebody else on their way. René Klein has invalidated. He was 2.5 tenths or more up through Sector 2. And then, of course, the mistake had to come in the final sector. So he's going to have to try again, unfortunately. His teammate Lighty is going to try another attempt, but he won't be doing that for a little while. So we're going to watch and find out who's going to cross the line first. Is that Tristan? Again, yes, it is. But I think we should follow somebody else right behind. Byron, Lucas Beister.
Absolutely. Let's follow the TF10 man. His teammates all the way up in 4th place and doing a spectacular job at the moment. But Lucas down in 10th, not necessarily the top of the field, but not a bad place to be either. What can he manage, though, as he's got yet another 10 corners, well, 9 after this one to tackle of this lap. And he set a good Sector 1, a 10th up, so not looking like a shabby lap at the moment, and we do draw very much closer to that 1:02 mark because Lucas looks like he is on a really good lap time at the moment.
Yep, there he goes through turn number 4 and then a middle sector. If you can find that much time in the first sector, he certainly made a mistake there somewhere on his previous attempt. And he needs to improve right here. He needs to be there at the top tonight. There he goes. Almost another 10th extra through sector number 2. And with a few more corners to go, it's starting to look very bright for him indeed. As this means he would currently find himself near the top 4 or even in it at the moment. At least he's certainly beaten Cloud's time. And there he comes round the final corner onto the main straight. What's the lap time going to be? Yeah. It's getting even closer to the 1:02 mark. He goes for the 3.012. 13 milliseconds quicker than Nick Arrow. It's really starting to heat up at the front right now. Several other cars are about to cross the line. We haven't finished qualifying yet, but it's getting exciting already. One of the top drivers in the name of Aaron Dominguez. Oh, he invalidates through turn 10. That is unfortunate because what would his lap time have been? It would have been a 1:02.937, which would have been good enough for provisional pole and smashing that barrier right there, that elusive barrier. So then, Baden Telecki 30 milliseconds up through sector 2. Let's see then what he can find on the final corner. He just needs a little bit more than that to go to the 1:02s. He does go to the 1:02s. A 2.970, and Oliver Nutt for NLR does the same. 9 milliseconds slower. It's anybody's game for pole position tonight, and this is really, really exciting, as we have predicted already.
Yeah, we've got pretty much every team, I think bar 2, in the top 10. We've got 8 teams, I believe. Not quite. We've got 7 teams in the top 10, and that is brilliant. That is really brilliant. This is a special group we've got tonight. Everybody is so close. The entire, you look at the top 10, they're separated by 0.2 of a second. That is I'm lost for words at this.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Nick Arrow.
I mean, I think the both of us somewhat are. I mean, right now on their way again, Trisk through sector 1, 74 milliseconds quicker. He's already, that means potentially a 1:03.11, bringing him very close to the top 5. EVE needs this big haul of points if he can keep that position from qualifying onwards as he goes into turn 4. Once again, the car drifting through it, a characteristic of the driving style in this game of F1 24. Just throw your car in the corner and hope for the best. And it seems to work out quite nicely indeed. Through Sector 2 then. Oh, he's lost a load of time then. So I think that throwing into Turn 4 really didn't benefit him whatsoever. He's going to have to try again on the final attempt. He's got 4 minutes to get in and back out. So his teammate then following right behind Minjake. Currently only in P16. But that is about 4/10 away from pole position as René Klein retires in the pit lane. He's not having a great day. Oh, there goes Minjake. He decides to go backwards onto the final corner. Nearly plowed himself into the wall. That is absolute disaster as René Klein actually leaves the session. I'm not sure what's going on there, but TTM not looking great tonight with the 2 last positions for them at the moment. But Minjake, man, that was a scary moment for him.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers making mistakes exactly there, and that, I think that's why it's definitely a bit more of a characteristic thing. I think is why we're seeing a lot of drivers make that sort of...
Somebody spilled oil in the final corner, I think.
I mean, you would have thought so.
Feature of the game, oil spills.
You really would have thought so, based on kind of the issues that as fair few drivers seem to be having on that final corner, just being a little bit too greedy on the throttle pedal maybe, but really good to see so many people here. You've got 57 people here right now. It's lovely to see so many of you joining us. We are getting towards the final stage of qualifying. We've got less than 3 minutes to go in this one, and we've still got a man on pole to decide. At the moment, it is Balin Alekis who's doing a brilliant job for FVR, but look at the amount of teams in that top 10. It really could be anyone. Draw a name out of a lucky hat, and that could be your pole man. But the first man to try and take that pole position will be Tomas Kokny, who is in 7th place. He's about a 10th and a half off of that P1 spot, but you can easily make that up in a turn or two.
Yep, and now we're going to find out if he can do it for ABS. There he goes, a 1 minute 3.131 on the board. That is, I believe, his second attempt that is still counting. As the Sauber now goes onto the longest straight of this entire track with technically turn 2 right here. As you said, just a tiny little kink to the left. And then we go straight on to the right with 11 milliseconds up on his previous lap time. It's, up I should say, yeah. It's not looking great at the moment, but there are still 2 sectors to go. And it's only sector 1 anyway, some place where you can't really gain or lose a lot of time if you're on the limit already. As he goes through turns 4 and turn 5, he's going to hit traffic real soon if they don't go any faster than that. Looks like they're all going to slow down to make sure they all get a proper position for a lap there. 43 milliseconds for Tomas Kokny as he goes through sector 2. That would currently bring him very close to Amber Dominguez's time, but there are still 2 more proper corners to go for the Hungarian driver, for the ABS team. Right in the final corner, pretty much on the limit there on the outside as he goes up into P5. That's the best he's gonna get tonight. Here, a 1 minute 3.038. Then his teammate following next with 1 minute remaining. He's invalidated, so he's gonna have to try again. Quickly recharge his battery. Go again, I'd say. Behind him, Aryan Senga, not yet on a hot lap, but he's gonna go for it right now. Then behind him, it's one of the NLR drivers of Ivan Santamaria, currently in P8. Everybody's getting ready. And now we're going to find out who will claim a pole position in Austria and by how much.
Yes, indeed. It's very difficult to tell who's on a hot lap or not at the moment, as it's very much a hit and miss to see who isn't. I think pretty much everybody's beginning a hot lap at the moment. Nick Arrow may be the next driver to come across the line on a genuine attack. You've got Aaron Dominguez, who's gone to 3rd. Now Nick Arrow to cross the line. Can he take pole position back? He absolutely can. It's a 1 minute 2.936. What a lap time from him. What can Lighty do? He won't set a lap time! There's no lap time for TTM. It will be the back row of the grid for that.
Ouch.
For TTM. That is not what they would have wanted at all. They normally pull it out of the bag right when they need it most. It won't happen today. No good result for them. It will be 19th and 20th next to come across the line. Ivan Santamaria into the pit lane. Now Cloud next across the line. Is he improving? It doesn't look like he was improving at sector 2. Has he made it in that 3rd and final sector? He very nearly did, but not enough.
Tristan Derbicor then next across the line, first to come out tonight, and let's see where he can bring his car. Currently 10th fastest, 3.1. What's he gonna be like? He stays there, 10th up on his old lap time. There's one of the EVE cars, Oliver Not stays 3rd fastest. That is Carlos Galindo improving to only P13. TES having an absolute nightmare. Balin Tilikis doesn't improve either. Who can still beat then? The man of Nick Arrow. Lucas Bison does not improve either. And it looks like a bit of an anticlimactic end to the qualifying, which was so exciting a few minutes ago. And it looks like, yeah, Lighty is not going to set that lap time indeed. In fact, he goes across the line in a very strange and unusual manner. But that is qualifying over, and that means, once again, FVR lock out the front row with Nick Arrow in front of Balin Telekis, Oliver Knott with an extremely powerful performance over NLR. They will be delighted with that. Aaron Ramingus, no surprises, in 4th. Lucas Beister for TF10, the best result for the rival of FVR in P5. Then Aryan Sanga managed to find his way out of the sub-top 10 into P6. Brilliant end of the session for him. Tomasz Kokny stays in P7, then Cloud in P8, who was looking real strong at the start of the session. Can't get any further than that. Ivan Santamaria for NLR looking strong as well. And the rest of the results you'll get from us in just a moment.
Indeed, yeah. What a qualifying session that was. Nick Arrow taking P1 there. FVR locking out that front row once again. So Nick Arrow on pole position in Austria, followed by his teammate Balin Elekis, then Oliver Knott, Aaron Dominguez, Lucas Besner, then Aryan Sanga, then Tomasz Kokny, then Cloud for TF10, then Ivan Santamaria, Tristan de Herbacott, Trisk, then Marvin Golm, Carlos Galindo, Damien Corral, Matex, Sam Arling, Mini Jake, Theo Bolnes, then Rene Clean and Lighty, rounding out the top all 20 drivers. Really disappointing for TTM. We've got 6 different teams in that top 10, if I can count correctly, which may not be able to. It might be 7, but we are looking like we are going to have a really close fight here today.
Top 17 within half a second of one another. Then there's Theo just outside that half a second, and then there's TTM. Who are very, I think disappointed is the word. The understatement of the year for the team tonight. They are always fast in qualifying, but that's why they are at the back of the field. I think, though, they can make up some positions, but they're going to have to fight hard for it, as I'm expecting a long DRS train with all of these drivers this close together. EVE2, by the way, has had a... thank you very much. Very much game there. I just heard a victory radio from Lighty for some reason. And that kind of distracted me completely, and I forgot what I was going to say.
Yes.
GG.
Yes, very interesting. Yeah. Everybody's just... The conversation in the Discord is about TTM and how much of a howler they have had. I cannot understate how, in a way, as a commentator, I'm slightly disappointed with that. I'm used to seeing them, kind of have a couple of invalidations, but then bang in such a good lap right at the death of it, and then, blitz it. I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't see that.
Yeah, they're also getting roasted now.
I
think they're going to come into this race with a big vengeance. TTM. I think to everybody else, watch your back, because the Ferraris are coming from behind and they're coming in hard to overtake everybody and potentially finish up in the front. You never really know. I mean, this is CSS after all. They're fighting hard for every single position. It's points from the top 15 upwards. So, it's still anybody's game, but they need to be there. They need to be in the mix for their own sake as well.
Yes, absolutely. Going to be really difficult, I think, for TCM to claw back in this race. But it's a track, fortunately for them, they can overtake. And they'll be able to, hopefully, get something out of it, fingers crossed, for them. But we're being told to, quote-unquote, be patient, I think, is the sentiment coming from TTM in terms of their race. But I'm not...
That is...
I will be patient with them, because we normally are. But I'm not sure how much we can really expect from them. They have cited they were having some issues. So, take from that what we will. But I'm interested to see what I think comes out of TTM today.
Yeah, me too. And of course, with FVR on the front row, locking it out completely, they've got that one under control. Of course, with the gap being this small to everybody else, it might be a potential challenge to keep the others behind. If the last race I saw is anything to judge by, it might potentially be very difficult to keep the fighters at bay, as everybody wants to try and gain that ideal position. And on a track like Austria, of course, being in front of the final lap, as with many tracks, is far from ideal. But the big question is, at which straight do you want to be behind, and at which straight do you want to be in front? I'd personally say after turn 3 is quite tricky towards turn 4 to overtake, so preferably overtake them before turn 3 happens. But then again, maybe you've already blew your battery if you're the car in front, and then defending might be difficult from turn 3 to turn 4. So it's a strategic game once again, of course, with the tires as well. That one might play a big factor too, because even though it's quite a short track, the difference in tires can be quite large, and therefore the undercut could still be quite powerful, I'd say.
Yeah, the undercut, especially around a track like Austria, really does have a lot of power. But the problem is, you don't want to get caught in traffic. And with how short the lap is, it is easy to get caught in traffic. So I think it'll be really careful. The strategists are going to be really diving quite deep into this one and looking at every possibility to try and prevent time loss, whether it be through an undercut, an overcut, and just getting you into that bit of clean air that you need to try and get the optimum strategy. Because I think that's going to be a real balancing act today, to just try and get everything spot on.
Yeah, and so far several teams, including FVR, have been absolutely spot on strategies, and that is an encouragement for TF10 as well. They need to be spot on with that strategy. Keep a close eye on the nearest rivals and make sure they pit at the exact right moment. Of course, the weather could still play a big factor. For the original race, it was going to be sunny all throughout, as far as my telemetry can tell me. But then again, the weather is reset to dynamic once again, meaning that we could see entirely different circumstances. The qualifying was perfectly fine, all sunny and dry throughout. The race, though, could be a very different beast indeed. And when the rain falls, we can see other drivers climbing to the top of the field, as with many races and leagues and stuff. There's drivers who just absolutely fly when the rain falls down hard. So that might be a potential thing for those teams maybe at the back of the field. For example, another team that has been quite disappointing in my opinion, Byron, has been TES, because they appear to be struggling quite hard around Austria.
Yeah, I think TES is a team that, you know, maybe we don't give them as much attention as they deserve as well. But yeah, I think they will be a little bit disappointed with the 13th and 14th, but they're in the points, they're in the hunt, and with the lap as short as it is, you know, when we look at kind of their difference to pole, it's only 0.3 of a second around such a short lap time, you know. And it's quite a bit around a short lap time like Austria, but, you know, you can easily lose that amount in a corner or with one little mistake through a lap. So I think they'll take a little bit of satisfaction out of qualifying. They're nicely together as well, with Carlos ahead of Damien, 13th and 14th there. So they can work together. They've got an advantage there that maybe not everybody else has. There's not many other driver pairings that are particularly close together, other than Nick Arrow, Balint and Leckies, and then obviously TTM, who round out the back of the grid. So they've got a bit of an advantage there. Now it's about how they use it going into the race.
Yeah, and then there's ETA, who appear to be struggling a little bit at the start of qualifying, but then Aryan Sangha, had a beautiful lap by the end of it, managed to squeeze himself well into the top 10, so there's definitely hope for the Aston Martin team as well. Looking at the standings a little bit, NLR, TES and AMR very close together, so this race could really hurt TES in their fight for what is currently 4th, because that is the position they are closest to, the highest closest position, I have to say. TTM a little bit further away from NLR, 17 points in between those two teams at the moment. And LNR have got Oliver Nutt into the top 3 and Ivan Santamaria in P9, so they've got a very strong starting position as well. And then ETA, as you can see, P7, they've got 13 points to close the AMR, who've got a driver at the front as well, but in the back too. So Sam Arling needs to start his fight to the front of the field to save that good point and position right there for AMR. And then, of course, the gap from second to third is quite big. That is 72 points between TF10 and TTM. We will not see that being close tonight, even if they gain maximum points. TTM is, which currently looks very unlikely, but you never know. So, yeah, there's a lot to fight for, and we're only at the halfway point of the season. Very interesting indeed.
Indeed, yeah, really interesting. We're at that kind of halfway point, and this is the point where we really, as commentators, start to be able to really pick out the kind of the trend of, you know, this team's good in qualifying, this one's not so, this one always has really good strategies. Somehow I've changed assets on the broadcast. What have I done? Fixed it now. But yeah, I think we're at that kind of point where we're beginning to be able to draw all of those nice little conclusions that we might want to draw about each kind of driver, each team. And I think there's definitely a lot of things that can happen tonight with so many teams kind of all about in that kind of top 10. It could really go anyway, I think, in this race.
Yeah, and FVR have got the most to lose. Don't forget that. They do have the front row lockout, but several mistakes could cost you a lot in a race like this. Just going a little bit too wide, a bit of an instant, some bumps here and there. They've got to coordinate and work together in pretty much perfection to keep the other teams, especially TF10, at bay. They are not showing weaknesses that often. We saw it a few weeks ago. I believe that was in round number 4-ish, where they actually did lose the lead in the standings for a little bit. It was Bahrain. I believe that wasn't their strongest outing after the new year started. So they've definitely clawed back from that one. The grid appears now to be done. That means the people can now start readying up, pick their car setups and their tire strategies. And that means very soon we'll be on our way for round 6, 36 laps, and a 50% race around Austria. With the weather, the only question mark yet.
Yeah, the weather, very much that big question that we've got. But yeah, the drivers all beginning to ready up now that signal has been given. So let's have a look. I think we're in for a really good one. Funnily enough, the weather is the topic in the Discord at the moment between all of the drivers. You know, if there's rain now, you know, not particularly happy with the idea of being rain. Someone's made an Imagine Dragons reference saying that if there's rain, there's thunder. But I think, I hope the weather plays a factor. Austria is such a good circuit when the rain gets involved as well, because it really changes the entire dynamic of how you race around it. Becomes a lot more tricky. Okay, that happens with every circuit, but I think Austria is just that extra bit of a challenge when it's wet.
Oh yes, definitely, and it's going to be interesting if the rain falls to see who is going to come out ahead of the others. We're finally readying up. Took a while for the drivers to actually get the memo. Once the host readies up, many others follow suit. So in a few seconds, we'll be on our way to the track and we'll get our first impressions from at least the weather. Hopefully nobody does forget their car setup. I wonder if there is going to be a difference for some drivers between their qualifying setup and their race setup, because Parc Fermé, of course, with the lobby restart is absolutely not a thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if some drivers pick a time trial setup for qualifying and then a proper racing one for the next 36 laps to come, to at least try and save a little bit on those tires. And then, of course, will you pick the hards or will you pick the mediums if it stays dry all throughout the race? I'd personally say the hard tires probably the better option to start the race with. I've seen it work quite well, even though the undercut is going to come quite late. If you go from the mediums to the hards, of course, you'll be pitting earlier and potentially come out ahead of a lot of other cars. But by the end of it, your hard tires will be starting to die off pretty rapidly, as the others on the mediums will be very fast after their pit stop. So some interesting things to consider. As Nivio in the chat says, I think most teams have both setups, race and qualifying. Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on that one right there. But we're going to go to the track right now, and we're going to see. It looks sunny, some clouds here and there, so at least the start of the race is going to be dry.
Indeed, yeah. A nice dry start to the race, but will it stay that way is, I think, the question around this sort of circuit. Rain can absolutely linger. It can come out of seemingly nowhere as well. And I think it's those sort of things that we're keeping a firm eye on. But we've got an amazing race to come here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Setups will go on, strategies will be decided, and once we have those 5 red lights, it is down to the drivers to do what they do best, deliver results and get their team a good place in this one. And I think they can absolutely do it tonight. I think we'll see a lot of drivers really pushing the limit. We could see an incident or two, whether that be turn 1 or turn 3, but either way, we are absolutely in for a good race today. Who's your pick for the race win, Frost?
Well, logic-wise, I'd say FVR, purely based off what we've seen in the past and their qualifying results of tonight. It is the obvious choice, but then again, you never really know. So yeah, purely objectively based, I'm gonna go for FVR.
Yeah, I mean, FVR, you can't ever count them out when it comes to a good race, but I've got a good feeling that, you know, ET8, TF10, they'll be in the mix. They might apply some pressure. So I as much as I would love to put a prediction down for who I think's going to win it, you know what? I genuinely have no idea. I think FVR have a really strong chance, but there's never any guarantees, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see what happens over the next 36 laps.
Yeah, I might have just jinxed FVR, so apologies to those watching if I just did. You can completely blame me if they don't win the race. And there we go then, the lights are coming on right now. It's quite dark on the main straight, I have to say. Sun is quite low, but the FVR cars 1 and 2, let's see how they come off the line right there. Balin Teleki's Nick Arrow, 1 and 2 is going to come lead into turn 1. Of course, it's going to be Nick Arrow, but there's Oliver Nutt with a little touch and go there around the outside with a better exit from turn 1. Oliver Nutt squeezes or tries to squeeze himself in between the FVR cars. Not something the team wants right there, but Balin Teleki is going to fight back into turn 3. Many drivers going around the inside on one another in turn 3. We saw Arjen Sanga nearly having a come together with one of the drivers in front of him, but he goes up to P5, trying to stay ahead of Lucas Beisner right there. Coming into turn 4, side by side they go. Same goes there for Aaron Mingus, who tried to be brave against Balin Telekis. Didn't quite work out for him right there, as he has to yield and stay in P4. He was having a little bit of a doubt whether he wanted to go for it or not. In the end, he decided to not go for it, but he was already touched the Hungarian in front of him. For now, though, looks like everybody's gotten safely off the line. The TTM drivers have made up 2 positions each already. Theo Bones and Damien Carril have fallen back to the last 2 positions, with Damien appearing to struggle already, as he appears on the minimap at least to have the biggest gap out of all of them. The first lap is done already with a 1 minute 9.7 for Nick Arrows. They go into turn 1 again with DRS open this time. So let's see what they're going to do with that. Looks like Oliver Nutt has no choice but to take the lead. Balin Telekis follow suit. Can he attack Oliver Nutt into turn 3 as well? What's going to happen there? No, they decide to just keep that waiting there. But Nick Arrow, though, is in trouble, as he's now being pushed down to 4th, with Aaron Dominguez passing him as well out of turn 3. So far, though, FVR not yet under control of this race. At least that appears from our point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. FVR 2nd and 4th now, both having lost a place or 2. So really interesting stuff here. Oliver Nutt, as you said, kind of forced a little bit to take the race lead, but I don't think he'll be too upset about having to take the race lead, because that's a good place to be. Come the checkered flag, and it shows that he's got some strong pace about him. Lighty gaining quite a few places. He's gone from 19th to 14th, so 5 places gained. Not a bad start to his race. He has got a 9/10 gap to chase down, but as long as he gets DRS, he should be nicely in the mix here. So we head on to lap 3, and Balin Telekis not looking likely to challenge that P1 spot. If anything, he might have to do a little bit of defending from Aaron Dominguez, who is looking like he wants to try and take that P3 spot away.
Ooh, Nick Arrow lost another position, now down to P5, as Arjen Sanga has decided to squeeze his Aston Martin in front of the Mercedes right there. We saw Aaron Mingus also getting a little tapped from behind from either the Aston or the Mercedes, as Lucas Beisner has overtaken Tomasz Kokony for P6 right there, because, you know, he wants to try and stay as close to the rival of FVR as he can, and right now he's right behind the Mercedes of Nick Arrow, and that is good news for the TF10 team. They have noticed that they're working together hasn't worked out as they would have liked, as every other team really doesn't care about their cooperation and their potential domination. They want to stay with them. They want to go as fast as they can, and Aryan Sanga is on a roll. He's now the fastest of the lot of them, has already moved into P4 from, what was it? P6, so he's definitely doing a good job. So who's gonna take a position this time? Looks like then Baden Teleki is gonna take the lead from Oliver Nutt. Oliver Nutt slots in behind Aaron Raminges, though. Is he gonna go try the inside? He does. Oh, he taps Baden Teleki. That's not what he wanted to do right there, but it's cost Baden Teleki dearly. And now, neither FVR driver lead the race anymore, but he's going to try and come back at Aaron Raminges into turn 4. He's not happy at all there with the Spaniards, and he just retakes the position as if nothing happened at all. An absolute extraordinary recovery from Baden Telekis right there, as now Aaron Raminges has to fight with Aryan Sanga for P number 2. Aryan for ETA is an absolute gold mine, as he's already up into the podiums. Oliver Nutt is now down to P4. Tomasz Kirkeny overtakes Lucas Beisner again for P6. This is brilliant so far.
It is absolutely brilliant. This is exactly what the Austrian Grand Prix provides every single time. It is such a great race. Now, you've got to give a massive eye on the man in 9th place as Tomas and Nick Arrows go side by side. Nick Arrow trying to get that 5th place back. He's just about managed it there, but they'll battle up the hill. But keep an eye on the man in 9th. He's on a set of the medium compound tyres, so he's doing a different strategy to the rest of the field, which could either pay dividends or it could be to his detriment here in this race. So keep an eye on him. He's on the mediums. He's got good pace now, but that is going to fade off into the sunset later as he dives down the inside of Cloud there and up into 8th place.
Yeah, he's got no choice. He's got to overtake as fast as he can to make sure the strategy works out best. Then go in early, undercut the rest, and come out as the race leader potentially. Right now, he's pretty much up the pace at the front of the field. His teammate is doing a brilliant job himself as well, as he gets closer and closer to Baden Telekis to go for that 2nd place, the top 4 now. A slight separation from P5 downwards. Nick Arrow over half a second down, which is quite a large gap for this track especially. Trisk, in the meanwhile, at the back of the field is having enormous struggles keeping up with the rest. And there has a group been formed with Lighty dropping down back to 17th.
Oh, there's an Aston in the back. That's Matex.
Oh, what's going on? Oh no, there goes the charge of the Aston Martin. It's all over then. The strategy is no longer going to be beneficial. I'm not sure what happened, but Byron, you probably caught it on camera.
Yeah, he just spun on the exit of turn number 1. Really disappointing for him, because he was the only driver on the alternate strategy, but there's a change for the lead. It's ETA out in front as one of them falls to the back. The other takes to the front of the grid as now Aryan Sang leads the way here in Austria, followed by Oliver Nutt. Baden Telekis down to 3rd. Aaron Raminges 4th, Nick Arrow in 5th. He's gained a few tenths though, so that gap isn't quite as big as it was. But the struggles, I think, for FVR definitely seem to be a little more in the race than they were in qualifying.
Yes, absolutely, definitely. So unfortunate, though, for Matex that he's lost it out of turn 1. He could have been on a brilliant run right there, and a potentially race-winning strategies one way or another. But it's not going to be tonight, and judging by the past performances, a safety car has become quite rare now these days, I have to say. So we're going to find out whether that's going to happen tonight or not, as Tomasz Kirkeny is harassing Nick Arrow for P5. Nick Arrow himself tried to fight with Aaron Raminges, and now position swap left, right, and center everywhere at the front of the field. Oliver Nutt is side by side now with Aryan Sanga, who has gotten himself back into DRS as he regains and retains the lead, I should say. Teleki staying in 3rd position right there. Tomasz Kirkeny just barely not being able to make it round Nick Arrow right there, staying in P6. But look at that, he's pretty much pushing the Mercedes through the corners right now. There's so much going on in the front of the field, it's quite difficult to keep track. There's Lighty now with a time penalty to his name. His charge to the front with his teammate not working well. The 2nd driver to get that penalty right there alongside Theo Bulnes. As we're going to lap 8 with Trisk now getting a 3-second time penalty too. Looks like Oliver Nutt is getting awfully close there to Aryan Sanga. Into turn 1 they go. It looks very likely that Oliver is going to retake the lead again from the ETA driver. But Aryan and Oliver, they've thrown an interesting mix into the race. And FVR, I don't think, is liking it one bit.
No, absolutely not. It's really throwing a spanner into the works for what FVR I think we're probably hoping was going to be yet another really strong race for them. It could still be a really strong race for them, but it's not looking as likely that it's going to be a win as Nick Arrow and Raminguez continue to squabble and battle. Looks like Nick Arrow could have this 4th place back as he forces Aaron Raminguez to go the long way round, but this will turn to the inside, but he isn't able to hold it. Aaron Raminguez down to 4th, so both FVRs back together now in 3rd and 4th, but they've still got 2 drivers ahead, with Arian leading Oliver Knott now for the time being, but there is still so much room for things to change here.
Yeah, I just said it. FVR is not lacking it one bit, but the most important thing for them is that both TF10 cars are behind and quite far in terms of position. 7th and 8th only for Lucas Beisner and Cloud respectively. Whoa, looks like Aaron Mingus has decided to go for it into turn 1, not working out quite well. One of the Red Bull cars also going wide, coming out of the corner. Looks like with that move, Aaron Mingus has held up everybody behind, causing a little bit of chaos into the 4th position and downwards. Oh, more chaos, and there goes Belin Telegis again, I believe, tapped round by the same drivers. He got tapped round a few laps ago, and this time though, because Aaron was intermingled in so much chaos, I don't think there was a lot he could do about it, but there's absolute nightmare there for FVR with Belin Telegis tumbling down the order, now fighting Marvin Golm for what is P13 and 12. So it's not looking bright anymore for the team. Nick Arrows also lost several positions due to the incidents. It's absolute chaos, and crucially, Arian and Oliver have driven themselves out of DRS, with Lucas Beisner now in 3rd.
Indeed, and I think someone's got a little bit of damage, but I can't quite tell who's got damage. It is Aaron Raminguez who's got a bit of damage to the front wing on that left end plate. So, FVR, we were just saying about how TF10 were in 7th and 8th. They're now in 3rd and 5th. And now FVR are in 9th and 13th. So the race is completely flipped on its head. And now it's looking in TF10's favour, as now it's 3rd and 4th. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. That's Trisk retiring in the pit lane. A disappointing day for him and EVE. His pace in qualifying was absolutely sublime, but it will come to nothing as Oliver Knott Arjen Sang continue to try and build up a gap. It's 1.2 the advantage.
Tomasz Kokony just bumped Minjake out of the way. He's now lost 4 positions in one corner. So another dive right there that didn't really work out quite well. So yeah, Aaron Raminguez now has been involved in an incident with an FVR driver twice. The first time, that was the reason why Belin gained his position back so easily. He gave the position back. Now he really can't because he's too far ahead of the Mercedes driver. Certain it wasn't intentional from him, but there's likely going to be an FIA inquiry from FVR to the Spaniard driver, the AMR team. So we're going to have to figure out what's going to happen with that after the race and in the following days. Right now, though, TF10, the luckiest team alive at the moment as they swap positions between Cloud and Lucas, trying to catch up to the top 2. They're just barely out of DRS range, as Lighty becomes the 2nd retirement. That's really unfortunate as Belin Telegis goes back into P11. As he's now going side by side with Marvin Golm again, but Marvin appears to have more straight line speed. Absolutely dive him into turn 4, and they do not touch. So there goes the Hungarian trying to get in front of Marvin, but Marvin is absolutely blast right there, trying to find the championship leaders, but not successfully doing so, having to yield, falling down to P12, and Belin trying to get closer back to his teammates so they can work together and get back in front.
Yeah, so I think TF10, as much as we can say they're a little bit lucky, they've also had a bit of skill involved here, right? They were in the right place at the right time, which kind of comes down to a bit of both, but the skill really coming in handy now because they're back within that DRS of the top 2. So this could really change the entire narrative of the race. They could have gone from being 7th and 8th earlier on in this race to P1 and P2. They're in such a good place to possibly try and control this race here. I think this really could be a great race for TF10, but what can FVR do to try and respond if they can? Because they've still got 24 laps to try and do it, so it's not out of the realms of possibility for them to win, but definitely going to be a difficult one.
Yep. But they, at least now, something that FVR has not yet achieved, are together on track. They are coordinating to perfection tonight. You saw them swapping positions back and forth, catching the front of the field, and they've successfully done so. And now, all they need to do is stay with each other. But there comes Ivan Santamaria trying to get past. For a moment, it looked like he did. And there's the safety car, because...
We've had...
I'm not sure why. I think, Theo Bolnes
crashed
into the final corner.
Well...
Safety car out.
That throws a bit of a spanner into the works, but I think someone like Lighty might be regretting having left, as well as someone like Trisk. Really may regret leaving and calling it quits, because this safety car does change the race quite a lot here. Everybody probably will come into the pit lane. You would expect. And some drivers, I think, are going to gain a lot more from that, because someone like Matex, who is in 16th, has the option to go onto a set of hard compound tyres, which he can definitely take to the end of the race. That could be really beneficial for the man all the way down in 16th for ETA. Could mean that he takes this race quite convincingly, possibly.
Potentially, yes, but he needs to have the pace. And we're going to find out whether he has it. The rest, of course, has got no choice but to pit this early into the race for a 24-lap stint on the medium tires. We're going to find out whether the racing is going to remain this hard when they're going to have to watch their tires until the very end of the race, if no other safety car comes in, of course. And yes, I just realized, as being pointed out in the chat, not only have I jinxed an FVR victory, I've also jinxed the safety car not having come out for quite a long time. It's actually the first time this year. So I'm doing quite well, I have to say. I'm influencing this race unintentionally. Coincidentally, I have to say, right now, with Aryan Sanga in the lead, Oliver Nutt second, Cloud in third, and thanks to the double stack for TF10, of course, they had no choice. Lucas Beisner now down in eighth, crucially, behind one of the FVR drivers. So that fight is something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. Baden Telekis and Nick Arrow, of course, had to double stack as well. That has allowed Baden Telekis to fall down to 12th place again. Nick Arrow has gained a position thanks to Lucas Beisner's double stack right there. So a bit of ups and downs for both teams right there. But now the rivalry is properly hot because all of them are very close together. And this is going to be really interesting when the safety car comes in.
Absolutely. Going to be really interesting, as you say. But I think a team that we have really not mentioned at all, by a team name, that have got a really good shot in this race as well, is NLR. Second and fourth right now, Ivan Santamaria. I think that might be one of the very few times I've said his name so far this race, and he is in a prime spot here. He's got his teammate only a couple cars ahead. He's, running in fourth. This could be a really strong result for NLR, which could really bolster their championship position, how things go. Tristan, a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. But at the moment, annoyingly, I'm waiting for it to load, but NLR are fourth. This could be a result that could easily take them ahead of TTM because they're having such a poor race, TTM.
Absolutely, one driver out. Rene currently in P13. Potentially looking for the top 10 finish, but he is least in the points. But yeah, TTM not looking brilliant tonight as opposed to NLR with an absolute resurgence. Of course, they were the tier 3 champions. So, what's going on here? The safety car is going extremely slow through turn 3, causing a lot of chaos. Oliver Nutt nearly overtook Aryan on track right there. He has to yield because Aryan apparently could no longer retain the lead. Oliver Nutt now has the lead of the race. This is a bit weird. I'm not sure what's going on right here. The safety car just glitched, may run out of fuel or whatever happened right there. But it has allowed Oliver Nutt to take the lead under safety car conditions by no fault of his own. I'm wondering if he's going to give it back. Yes, of course he has to give it back. That's the only...
I think what happened...
to do it. The only way he can do it is by going off track, because that will allow another car to get past. So we now properly done it, so well done. Hats off to Oliver Nutt for that move right there. Aryan Sanga back where he should be as the safety car is coming. And thankfully, because it looked like the safety car itself was struggling quite hard tonight, So we're going to find out what Aryan can do from the lead of the race with TF10 in a potential prime position to snatch a lot of points away from FPR like they did 2 weeks ago in Bahrain. This is a golden opportunity for them to strike hard on the Mercedes team and keep that championship battle quite alive. But with 5 positions in between them, they are not together anymore. So then, Aryan Sanga from Oliver Knott from Cloud. Aryan has decided to go for it quite early. Oliver Knott, though, a good final corner, is allowed to close the gap immediately. But closer there still is Ivan Santamaria to Cloud's Red Bull right there as they go into turn 1. And once again, we're nearing the halfway point of the race. And the question is, can they make these tires last until the very end of this race? Those mediums now 2 laps up, but still quite fresh, of course. So it's going to be very interesting indeed. Tire management and racing at the same time for this long of a race to come. The top 5 and the rest downwards remain the same, with the exception of Tristan Derbycourt and Sam Arling in 17th and 18th, going side by side towards turn number 4. We see a gap forming already from Beirut Elekis to Minjake, as the gap is increased to about 0.8 of a second at top 10, potentially then driving away from Balin, but he's overtaken Marvin Gome on his turn, potentially explaining why the gap has grown a little bit right there as he closes it straight away. The fight is on.
Absolutely it is, and Nick Arrow could be about to... He nearly made a move into turn number 9. Apologies for the fact the safety car message is still on the top left of the screen. I have no idea how or why, but it's just... Yeah. This game is just amazing. Oliver Knott, though, could be about to make an overtake and go for that P1 spot as that DRS is re-enabled. The rear wing opens once again in this race and dives down the inside into turn number 3. Nicely done for NLR as Ivan Santamaria also up into 3rd. Cloud down 1 place. Tomas Cockney down another. As Carlos Galindo up to 5th, as you see more squabbling here, and this could be Ivan Santamaria having to defend that 3rd place that he's just got, as he does claim that 3rd place back.
Right there.
Now, as they try, very nice and committed from both drivers, as Ivan Santamaria takes that 3rd place. It's looking good for NLR here, but Aryan Sang is absolutely going to be trying to throw a spanner into the works.
Yeah, but right now the strongest team by a long shot is NLR, surprisingly. I never thought I would say it this season, but there they are, 1st and 3rd, so hats off to them. As Theo gets another 3-second time penalty added to his name, and Matex, of course, gonna have to sit back a little while till those mediums fall off before his hard side tires will fall off the cliff right there by the end of the race. Back in the front, though, Aryan Sanga going for the move, question mark? No, he isn't. Instead, it's Ivan Santamaria getting awfully close, and Tomasz Kokkeny, in fact, getting past Carlos Galindo. Nick Arrow losing his 7th position, at least for a little while, to Aaron Raminges, who's also lost out on the safety car, but they're still going side by side, as are the cars in front. Carlos Galindo, Tomasz Kokkeny. Tomasz for now, though, winning out from Carlos Galindo. Nick Arrow winning from Aaron Raminges as he stays in 7th position for at least a lap longer. In the meanwhile, Baden Telek is his teammate right there, has now recovered to P10, has gotten past Minjake, and desperately trying to catch Lucas Beister, who on his turn, as he was trying to stay with Nick Arrow, has lost the position to Aaron Raminges, down to 9th right now. So the top 2 teams are everywhere at the moment, and they've got to keep an eye on one another, that's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, but they've got to also be keeping an eye on that team that look in the prime place at the moment. NLR just looking so strong at the moment. It is looking like it could be a race 2, remember, but Aryan Sang maybe wanting to try and make that not quite as memorable now as he goes down the inside into turn number 3. That was a very audacious dive from him, but does absolutely make it work, doesn't get the place, and in fact his exit has compromised him enough that it could mean Ivan Santamaria is able to take it, but he's not able to hold it around the outside of turn 4, so he'll have to settle for that 3rd place for now, but still not looking bad at all for NLR. But keep an eye on Nick Arrow. He has made it up into 7th place. He could be close to making that 6th as he's closing up on Carlos Galindo as well. So FVR trying to take it back up to the top, but there is not that many laps to try and get back as high as they can.
No, but a team on the resurgence as well as TES. They've got Carlos Galena now well into the top 10, coming into lap 20 right here. They've got Damian Carrillo's also made up a few positions, only in 14th, but still better than where he started from, I believe. There goes Ivan Santamaria and Oliver Knott. They've got to work together, but what they're going to do, are they actually going to fight in turn 3? Looks like they are, somewhat, both of them getting a good exit. Now they can make their cars as wide as they like, both of them having DRS on the race leader, Aryan Senga, but he's got to defend there. Ivan Santamaria from Cloud, who tries to go around the outside as he gets attacked on the inside at the same time from Tomasz Kokny. Trying to claim 4th position for ABS right there. Nick Arrow at the same time trying to get past the Williams of Carlos Galindo. That's so close together. A tiny mistake there could cause another safety car straight away. But they've all keep it in one piece at the moment as Nick Arrow does get past Carlos Galindo. Up into P6 he goes, right behind his rival of Cloud, who's been overtaken by Tomasz Kokny on his turn. As we head now towards lap 21 already, time's absolutely flying, and so are all of these drivers.
Yeah, the commitment from them was absolutely phenomenal. It was so brilliant to see these drivers really fighting hammer and tong there. You saw Tomasz Kokny and Cloud side by side, then Nick Arrow, Carlos Galindo, both side by side. As now another change for the lead. Oliver Knott takes the lead back. Can Ivan Santamaria make it in NLR 1-2 as we head down this second DRS straight once again? But it doesn't look like Ivan Santamaria is going to be quite close enough to try and make a challenge here, as there aren't many moves into turn 4 on this occasion. But they're still very, very close to one another. Everybody in the field separated by less than a second from each other. Everybody getting the benefit of that rear wing, minus the man out in front, which at the moment is Oliver Knott.
Oliver Knott does not have DRS. I keep making the puns, I'm very sorry. I've also noticed that Lucas Beisner has now lost out to Balin Telekis, so he's now behind the Mercedes again, which is not great news there for TF10, as they want to be ahead of as many Mercedes as possible. Cloud is also under pressure from 2 cars from behind. Tomasz Kokny has already made several attempts to get past, but here comes Ivan Santamaria and Aryan Senga on Oliver Knott. Of course, Oliver's got no choice but to yield without that rear wing open right there, but he's not gonna want to lose any more positions than that. As there, once again, Tomasz Kokny on Cloud, trying to get past again on turn 3, unsuccessful once more, but crucially, Nick Arrow's lost out. Carlos Galindo, whoa, with a big dive bomb into turn 4, nearly took out Tomasz Kokny, got a bad exit, now lost his position, potentially to Aaron Dominguez as well, as he tries to go around the outside, back into 7th place. Aaron Dominguez, though, gets the better exit and gets ahead, crucially, of the Mercedes right there. Into 7th place he goes, saw the opportunity, went for it, but more importantly, this is maybe a good opportunity for FVR, because now they are together in this race.
Absolutely, yeah, being together will play a little bit of benefit, but I think they will swap places there. Balin Telekis taking 8th versus Nick Arrow. They've got to work together now to try and get the most out of this race they can. A bit like what NLR are doing out in front at the moment. They're working together to try and get the maximum out of this one, but Cloud is now trying to get into the mix as well for this battle for the lead. So Ivan Santamaria, Oliver Knott, both having to defend a place into turn number 3. Ivan Santamaria about to take that P1 spot back, as now Oliver Knott is thinking about a move into P2, but not able to make it, as a good exit for Aryan.
And there comes Tomasz Kokny, decides to try and get into the podiums as well for ABS. He's already gotten past Cloud, who a few corners ago almost was into the podium positions as well. But a bad exit from him has allowed the Sauber to get past at long last. And now he's going to hound the other RB team of the V-Carb car, so to say, right there. Nearly got it as well into turn 4 and 5. Was very close indeed, but that is just how tight the racing is tonight. It's absolutely incredible to see. We haven't seen any bigger incidents at the front of the field yet, apart from Theo Boness's big incident. I do not know exactly what has happened. Might have been a touch and go with another car. Maybe he lost it himself, which hasn't been unusual tonight. But then again, here we go once more at the top 4. Who's going to take the lead this time? It's Ivan Santamaria leading a race. It's been quite a while since we've seen him in front. around. But more importantly, bad news for TF10 again, as Lucas Bison not only loses several positions, he also gains a 3-second time penalty as he has to attack there hard on Damien Carril, who just hardly closes the door on him. And he can't get past. That's terrible news for TF10. Same goes once again there for Cloud and Carlos Galindo as they go side by side. Cloud doing everything he can to keep the position, but he loses another one. Down to P6 he goes. Carlos Galindo ahead in P5. Oliver Knott then, and Tamas Kokny coming to the final 2 corners side by side as Tamas wisely has decided to yield, or has he? Because Oliver wasn't very fast through turn 9. He nearly got back passed alongside him. It's so close together once again into lap 25, and there's still a lot of laps to go, and it's still anybody's game.
Indeed, I saw a bit of front wing go flying into the final corner, so I'm not sure if someone has lost a bit of front wing. Keep an eye out for any missing end plates, because I did definitely see something go flying. I'm not sure if it's actually come off of the car, if it's just the game being a little bit weird like it usually is, but NLR now in a 1-2 spot in this race, but can Arian get in the mix and try and cause a bit of carnage and chaos? He absolutely will. He goes down the inside, making 2 moves for 1. It's a 2-for-1 offer for Arian Sang, but is it going to stay that way as now, having to defend that place, can't hold it, side by side, through there, but now 2 by 2 they'll go through turn 7, 8 and 9, and now in towards that turn 9. Oliver Knott leading once again. Ariane in second. Ivan Santa Maria. Then Tomas Kokny. Carlos Galindo swapping places as well. This is absolutely brilliant stuff.
Nearly there. We saw Ramirez losing it, coming out of the final corner after getting very close to one of the cars ahead. Cloud now fighting against the Spaniard. Cloud losing out down to P8. Finds Nick Arrow immediately alongside him. Nick Arrow's opportunity to get another TF10 car behind, and therefore potentially once again extending their lead in the championship. There he goes. As he also goes against Aaron Ramirez. Perhaps a bit of payback against what Aaron did to Baited Aleckis, or maybe not. We'll have to find out later down the line. Aaron, though, stays ahead for the time being. Nick Arrow will have to go try around the outside, but he can't. And Cloud is down to 10th already, where he was fighting for the podium a few laps ago. Now he finds himself on the edge of the top 10 as Marvin Golm has gotten past. And not only NLR is looking strong, but there's ABS coming out of nowhere as well.
There's so many teams really getting into the mix here that we normally wouldn't see really fighting towards the top, and it is so brilliant to see teams like ABS, Thomas Unger Sim Racing, NLR, ETA all bringing so much action, so much just pure fight to this race. It's something that we can only thrive for seeing in races to come as well, because this is the sort of action we want for all 36 laps of action at every track we go to, and they have really brought something quite special here tonight as another change for the lead here as Oliver now has to try and fight once again with Ariane. Ivan having to fight with Tomas Kokny, so it really is once again back to all manner of chaos as we head towards turn 3, and oh, it is beautiful.
Man, that was so incredibly close. It's a miracle they didn't touch Tomas Kokny, getting so close to Arian Sanga and Oliver Knott right there. He immediately decides to go on the offensive straight away. Saw he was quicker, but he has to yield again to Arian Sanga when his turn. Does a brilliant job, as said in the chat, by the way, of preventing NLR from getting a 1-2. He's on his own. His teammate is quite far behind in terms of positions. So he's having to do it solo right there, as NLR has got 2 cars in the top 4 right now. Balin Telecki is on a resurgence after being tapped around. He's back in the top 5. Absolute blistering pace from him right there. Aaron Ramirez is trying to get Carlos Galindo right there. I think we saw a yellow flag. That's Marvin Golm dropping down. He had a bit of a moment coming out of turn 1. Allowed several cars to get back in front of him. In the meanwhile, at the front of the field, we can see Tomas Kokny and Oliver Knott going side by side in turn 3. Tomas Kokny just barely holding on to second place, but Oliver's gonna go try it around the the outside, but he's going to be boxed in by both of the cars ahead, allowing Tomasz to defend the inside of the corner right there. Bit of a poor exit from the ABS car, maybe or maybe not. No, it's actually not a poor exit because he's ahead for now. Oliver Knott and Ivan Santamaria back together, but no longer in first and second or second and third. Now down to P3 and P4, and Bailey Telekis is next to knock on the door of the RB cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really, really heating up now. Everybody is fighting so aggressively, but everybody is placing their car so well. It is really such a good race that we have got here. I mean, you cannot write this stuff at all. What a race we are seeing. This isn't pre-recorded, I can assure you. It is pure live action we're seeing as Tomasz Kokny once again down the inside. Could ABS win the race? Well, they're certainly trying their best as Tomasz Kokny takes P1. What can Ariane Sang do as now we head down that straight once more? More changing behind as Cloud tries to battle with Matex there. FVR though, 5th and 6th now with Balin Lekis and Nick Arrow. They've done a really good job to recover many places here. It's been really good for them. So Tomasz Kokny, Ariane Sang, side by side there. This could invite NLR into the fold here as well on the exit. But nicely held by them. But in fact, FVR could make a few moves here on NLR, who look a little bit more vulnerable as once again carbon fibre flying. I think that may have been off Aaron Raminguez, but I didn't quite catch it once again.
Let me see. Yeah, right front end plate of Ramirez's front wing is missing, but I believe it has been missing since the start of the race after bumping into Balin Telekis. And Matex now with those hard tires maybe is starting to get the advantage. He's already moved up 2 positions in the last 2 laps, so maybe he can start helping out his teammate, who is now back out in front ahead of Tomasz Kokny, or maybe even Ivan Santamaria. Now they go side by side headed towards turn number 4. There's 4 teams in the mix at the moment for certain that might potentially win the race. It's ETA with Arian Sanga, Tomasz Kokny for ABS and LR, but 2 drivers and FVR are properly back in the mix as well with Nick Arrow and Balin Telekis. Carlos Galindo hanging back a little bit. Cloud trying to make a recovery. He's back up into P8, but he's got a potential faster Matex behind, who's driving in P9, which was now probably our faster, harder tires. All of them are, of course, old and worn, but the superior grip potentially might lie with the second ET8 car, and we could maybe see him get even further in front of them.
Absolutely, I think he's got a chance of getting into the mix and into the fold here as we get towards the final stages of this one. As yellow flag in sector 3, that is Rainer Klein, who's gone into the wall, the same place that Theo Bolanez went into, but this time it's a retirement. It's a safety car once again. Surely everybody comes in for a set of softs. You would have thought,
yeah.
But is it worth the gamble?
I think he's come together with Lucas Beisner, because I saw Lucas Beisner most of his front wing missing. He's replaced it straight away. He's got lucky with the safety car right there. Saved this race for sure, but he's at the back of the field right now. So that's probably where the incident came from.
Well, maybe there was an incident that happened before, but if Rene spun on the exit of turn 10, that's beyond the entry. So there may have been an incident earlier on in the lap, but Rayner has had an incident on his own accord, it seems, out of the final corner or involved with somebody else. But that means TTM will take nil points. So we were told to wait and see what happens in the race. The race, the race unfortunately wasn't any better for TTM, but everybody into the pit lane. It's going to be a set of softs for everybody to the checkered flag.
Look at that. Theo Bonas has decided to carry on.
I mean, he's got to do something in this race to
Sam
try.
Marling as well.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, they had to try and do something in this race.
Yeah, they've got nothing to lose.
They got
potentially smart decision, but both of them have penalties as well, don't they?
Indeed. So
especially Theo. My goodness me.
How many? I mean, he's probably
12 seconds.
Yeah, you're not going to really counter that through staying out, but
so that means that he's going to finish last, whatever he does, and that's quite painful, to be fair.
Yeah, quite possibly. Sam Arling, though, could have a chance to get a better place than he was expecting, just based off of staying out on the road. But because obviously in this sort of situation, double stacking, you'd rather double stack in this sort of situation if it means you can have fresher tyres. The pace from Theo Bones and Sam Arling, I think, is going to see them fall like a stone.
Yeah, but crucially, and I think this is why they stayed out, they can help out their teammates. Aaron is down to 12th, Tristan is down to 13th place. They are literally a moving obstacle right now, apart from the safety car. So if they place their cars wisely, without it getting too dirty, they could cause absolute havoc to the front of the field, allowing their teammates to come back, stay out of those problems. I mean, it's an ideal scenario, and everything needs to be going to perfection. But if they execute it perfectly, they could do a miracle for their teammates. Absolutely.
I mean, let's have a look. Who's in a really good place for this safety car restart? You've got to say Tomas Cockney.
Yes.
Absolutely. Phenomenal place to be right now. Third place. If he can make the move on Theo and Sam Arling, say into this corner up here, into turn 3, he could absolutely run away with this, especially if Theo and Sam...
There goes the safety car again, by the way.
What is going on? Disqualified! No!
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 There they go. The safety cars glitched again, and both of the top 2 cars to stay out are disqualified because they couldn't slow down in time.
Oh!
Seriously, yeah, fix your... Yeah, I want to say something else, but fix your...
Yeah!
Thing.
Whoa!
I'm speechless.
I mean, this is outrageous for Theo Bones and Sam Arling.
I've got no words. Oh no, that is disaster there.
Well, the way my heart dropped for them, they absolutely didn't deserve that. They had an opportunity to fight, and they just didn't get it. That is absolutely gut-wrenching for them. That they wanted to try something different. They wanted to roll the dice. It will come to nothing because the game is absolutely broken. But we have a
short summary. Yeah, people asking in the chat what happened. The safety car glitched out in turn 3 again, went really slow. Sam and Theo didn't see it coming, went past, and you only have 3 seconds to get back behind the safety car, and that is not nearly enough.
Yeah, disappointing, but Tomas Cockney will lead us away now. Back to green flag action as Nick Arrow will lose a place to Carlos Galindo in all of that. In fact, Nick Arrow has lost 2 places, will fall down to 6th. So both NLRs taking advantage of that one as Tomas Cockney leads the way here, followed by Ariane Sang, then Ivan Santamaria, Oliver Knott, Carlos Galindo, Nick Arrow in 6th, but wanting to try and make that 5th, but he may fall down to 7th as Cloud makes a dive down the inside and gets that 6th place. That is lovely. Carlos Galindo, though, up into 4th as well, so could be a good result for TES, as well as every other team that's really in the mix here. We've got a lot of action between now and this checker flag, which is only now 3 laps out.
Yeah, this has become a tiny little sprint of only 3 and a bit laps right here, with Carlos Galindo finding himself all of a sudden in 4th position after Oliver Knott had a horrible restart. He was doing brilliantly all race, and now he's in P5. Way down from where he used to be a few laps ago before the safety car came out and caused absolute chaos and havoc all over the place. DRS is now enabled for one of the final times in this race with 2 laps to go. Now we're going to find out who will win the race. Will it be Tomas Cockney from Ariane Sanga? Ivan Santamaria is certainly going to attack the Aston Martin right there, but they're going to go 3 wide in turn 3 with Tomas Cockney right on the outside, having to yield, but going
making a brilliant switch back there against Arian Sanga and immediately trying to claw back the lead of the race. Extraordinary defending if he can pull it up, but he's getting boxed in by the 2 cars ahead, bumping Arian a little bit further in front of him. Ivan Santamaria now leads the race all of a sudden. Arian Sanga just barely having to slot in behind. Carlos Galindo now fighting hard to get in front as well, but there's Cloud trying to get past the Williams and the RB at the same time, pretty much. An opportunity for TF10 there to get at least 1 car onto the podium, unless, of course, Nick Arrow and Balin Teleki's got something to say about it. Oliver Nutt is desperately trying to get back to his teammate, but he falls down further down the other. Or is he? Because it's chaos in turn 10, and now we're gonna go to the final lap. Last opportunities with Ivan Santamaria having somewhat of a gap in front, but certainly the drivers behind are going to find pretty hard to get into the lead of the race. Cloud and Nick Arrow still going side by side. Cloud got no choice but to yield, but back to the front of the field, because that's where the fight for the win is gonna happen. Arian Sanga does claim the lead. Tomasz Kokony trying to get round the outside, and Ivan Santamaria not yet successfully completely done so. Both having DRS. Arian Sanga with prime position, having made the best move of the race so far for the lead. None of the drivers from behind can come close to him. That means Tomasz Kokony. Oh, no! Both of them. Absolute nightmare for both drivers. Perfect opportunity for Ivan to return to the podium, but he can't anymore, as Tomasz Kokony stays into 4th position by an absolute miracle after they fought way too hard. And now Ivan Santamaria and Oliver Nutt and Alar were the biggest downfall of the race so far. All of them out of the top 10, but we're gonna switch back to the front with Arian Sanga, who's going to win the race. Carlos Galindo claims 2nd, and they'll be delighted with that. Nick Arrow recovers to P3. Tomasz Kokony keeps 4th. Minjake finds himself in P5 out of nowhere. Cloud finishes P6. Another TES driver in the top 8 is Damien Carril right there, and Bela Telekis finishes in P8. But man, what an absolute drama in the finale right there.
I mean, we've had disqualifications, we've had drama, we have had absolutely everything there. What has happened in those final laps? But ETA take a win with a driver who I genuinely hadn't heard of until I looked at the grid today. But he has pulled a blinder, shown me that I need to refresh my knowledge on who is hot and who is not in this game, because ETA, an absolutely brilliant and clinical win today, and a crucial one for their championship and everything that they look for. But Carlos Galindo as well, going to be a very happy man. EV as well, so many teams very happy, but quite a few as well very, very disappointed. But Arian Sang, your race winner today, out of nowhere. Carlos Galindo in 2nd for Thomas Unger Sim Racing. FVR with Nick Arrow. They clawed a podium out of it, but weren't able to take that win in 3rd. Tomasz Kokony in 4th. Minjake in 5th. A great result for him and EVE. Cloud in 6th. Damien Carell, Balin Alekis, Ivan Santamaria, and Lucas Besner rounding out that top 10. You got to say that one team that'll be very happy is TES with a 2nd and 7th. Then Tristan de Herbecourt in 11th. Oliver Knott, Marvin, Aaron Dominguez, and Matex in 15th. And unfortunately, Rene, Lighty, Trisk, Theo Bolnes, and Sam Arling all retiring, all being disqualified in the final two's case from the race. But what a race it was. Arian Sang, your race winner.
Yeah, I can see the disappointment, of course, flooding into the Discord right there, especially from NLR. Ivan Santamaria and Oliver Knott had it in their hands. They lost it in the final few laps. All chaos, all hell broke loose. Certainly, there are going to be some steward investigations on that final few incidents and several others as well. They're going to have a busy day again. The poll was absolutely right. Everybody's won except the stewards, but also NLR have lost badly right here. I'd say that TF10 kind of lost there as well. FVR on overall have gained more points than them. The gap extending once more. The best team tonight to come out, though, surprisingly, from 13th and 14th is TES.
Yeah, I mean, we said about how, I think at some point in the race, we said, like, it's a team that we've not really given as much attention to as I think they kind of deserve a bit, and they absolutely showed us why they're here. It was absolutely brilliant from them. I think they had such a good race. A bit of a quiet factor maybe, but if you're going to be a quiet factor and then absolutely show all of that pace and talent, I don't mind it. They really capitalised on the race.
Yeah, I'm hoping one of the drivers at least will be giving us some insights into the race. And it looks like we're going to get an interview, Byron. It's going to be from the man who probably didn't expect to be here. It's Carlos Galindo. And I'll let you do the honors.
Indeed. Right. Hello, Carlos. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Lovely. Well, I think about 45 minutes ago when you were lining up on the grid, the idea of being on the podium maybe seemed a little bit on the far-fetched side. Is that a fair assumption?
It was too difficult to know before the race. I was just hoping to get good points, and in the end I just got very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of luck needed, but also a lot of talent needed as well. You're not short of that at all. Those final couple of laps with that safety car, the disqualifications, a lot of carnage, a lot of chaos. Kind of from your perspective, was it very nerve-wracking?
Yeah, the safety car book, it was unexpected, of course, and we were just cheering for the safety car in the boys' car, but yeah, at the end I was just elbows out, just fighting with everyone and trying to get position on track, and yeah.
Yeah, obviously you had to be in a position to really capitalise. The result today, though, I'd say I'd like to hope you are. You're satisfied with that?
Yes, of course.
Lovely. Questions from you, Frost.
Yeah, the qualifying. I know it's only a small gap, but was that a struggle for you?
Yeah, I didn't manage to do a great lap without invalidating. I only did 2 laps, I think, which was not ideal, but yeah, I was focusing on the race after the quali, trying to make my way back, so I think I did very well. Not on the quali, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, second place from that position is absolutely extraordinary, I have to say. Next week, we've got Mexico. How are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I like Mexico. I drive there on PSGL last season, so I think I can do very well on the quali also there.
All right. Well, cheers for joining us, and enjoy this big second place for you.
Thanks.
I mean, I'm just going to flick the standings onto the screen just so you can look at how huge this is for a team like TES. They're 5th at the moment. NLR, with that incident on the final lap, that will see probably TES, I would have thought, possibly even take 3rd in the championship here. This is what could be a real huge race for them, but also EVE, the team all the way down in 10th, had a phenomenal round with Jake in 5th. That could also take them to very close to Vroom, if not possibly ahead, because they didn't have a great rest Vroom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, while the fight in the front is getting a little... the gap's just getting a little bit bigger. The other teams are having an absolute blast in their fights for position. Remember, the prize pool does go down all the way to P5 this season, so that's definitely worth fighting for. And TES, surprisingly, taking the biggest spoils tonight in the fight for 3rd place, that's for sure. And they'll be absolutely delighted with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. No room for any upset, I think, there for TES. Even 7th place is really great for their second driver as well. And, well, Carlos Galindo feeling quite confident going into the next round, Mexico. And I think Mexico, again, is going to be very similar to kind of the action we had today. A lot of overtakes, a lot of opportunities to make moves, a lot of opportunities for everything to happen. So I'm really looking forward to next time out in Mexico, because I think it's going to be more of the same. Brilliant racing, close margins, everything we love in racing.
Yeah, no, There's one last thing I have to say. I've put it in the Discord already. I've jinxed a lot of things tonight somehow. I jinxed the FVR win. I've jinxed an NLR comeback. I've jinxed the safety car being absent for a few races. I've jinxed AMR and VRM with their teammates in front trying to help them out because they got disqualified somehow. Jinxed Matex from coming back on his hold hards. Jinxed ABS because they dropped down the field as well. And I've jinxed TF10 too, after they could try and capitalize, but couldn't. So, yeah, apologies to literally everybody tonight. But, you know, stuff happens.
Yes, I have just seen that there is a quick message that wants to be said from Ace, I believe. I have no idea what this is about, but take it away. Your 5 minutes of fame.
I've just done results for this race, obviously pre-shooting. TES do indeed jump to third.
Lovely.
Not too much changes other than that. NLR dropped to sixth.
That's not great for NLR. That is really not great. Dropping to 6th. They at one point we were talking about them going up to 3rd, and now they're going down to 6th. That is
It's painful.
Very painful. Difficult race for them, but I think they'll bounce back, and I think they'll take a lot of solace in the fact that their race was so good this time out.
Yep, and already the reports are flooding in.
That's
been reported already.
That is a surprise
FTR
to
has been
no
reported. TS has been reported as well. So yeah, there's certainly going to be several investigations. So these results certainly not final. We'll have to find out later this week.
Absolutely. Well, that is all we've got time for this evening. But thank you very much to everybody who has joined us. It has been yet another brilliant round of action and racing. Next time, we head to Mexico as we officially cross the halfway point in the season. Still got 6 more rounds to go, but we'll see you a week's time today when we head to the highest track on the F1 calendar. We head to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. But until then, when we head to Mexico, bye-bye.
Welcome back to the competitive short
The
series.
absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Move up down on top. Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a